Welcome to Christmas Eve in May, public congressional hearings on UFOs. Tomorrow, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific for me, and it's been the late 60s, the end of Project Blue Book, where we had hearings, and we're gonna have them tomorrow. And I'm excited, although, as I've said to everybody, I have no expectations. I have no inside information as of now what to expect. I just wanted to do this short video on an article that Bryan Bender from Politico put out. So I'm just going to read it and comment. It's just me and UFO Jesus, and there was somebody else here, Ryan. I don't know where they went, but that's fine. I'm in my bedroom, not my normal place. And let me pull up Bender's article. I'm going to pull up an article that Bender wrote in early May, which was I'm not going to read all of it. Just one part of that article that I want to reference. Let's see. Here we go. So this was May 2nd, and Bender wrote that others said that while officials are doing a better job of collecting reports of UAPs, they are still reluctant to dedicate more intelligence assets to determine whether some of the reported craft might belong to a foreign nation or if they are extraterrestrial in nature. And seeing that in Politico is a big deal to me because they're so hesitant to use that word. So that was nice to see. That was May 2nd. And it continues. He has a quote: "I have seen everything we have in the files, and I am very confident they are not ours," said a former senior intelligence official who had authority over the UFO portfolio, referring to classified U.S. aircraft programs. Is that Elizondo? I don't think so. I think this article Lou was quoted later. That was the controversy. Somebody was accusing Bender of using Lou in that quote, and Lou was quoted later on in that article. It was not Lou. I'm not going to read the rest of that. I want to start his article, Bender's article from today, which is starts off great, and then and I did this on Twitter earlier. I read the whole thing, and it didn't get uploaded. So let me upload that article. 1 second, and I will read it and comment. So it starts off. The headline is a skull and bones type vibe. Spy agencies grapple with how much to share at UFO hearing. Congress may need to create incentives to get national security officials to talk. And it's Bryan Bender today, May 16th. And I just dropped something. Not my normal spot, which is taken right now. It's a big UFO open congressional hearing party downstairs that I am not going to. I'm kidding, there's no party. So Bender, as Congress prepares to hold the first public hearing on UFOs in half a century, it was right after Project Blue Book ended. I don't have the exact date. I was trying to find it, but it's getting late and I have to be up early for the hearing, so I'm just going to go. Late 60s, 1970, when Project Blue Book ended. It ended in 1969. And then the Condon report, I believe, came out right around that time or right before, because they recommended it closed down. As Congress prepares to hold the first public hearing on UFOs in half a century, the Pentagon and intelligence agencies are feuding internally over how much to cooperate with demands to investigate and share what they know, according to current and former national security officials. Lou Elizondo has been telling us for a while now that there are competing factions, and some of the folks want this information out, and some of them do not. So Bender's reporting goes along those lines, and for me, it confirms, yes, that is the case, which is really not really surprising that there are folks in the Pentagon that are pushing to get this information out, and allegedly they're becoming the more they're outnumbering the folks who do not want this to come out. But from what I know, from what I've read, from what I've heard, the folks who do not want this to come out are very powerful. So even if they're smaller in number, they still may get their way right now. Pentagon officials are under increasing pressure to carry out Congress's recent mandate to establish a permanent effort to coordinate research into reports of highly advanced aircraft of unknown origin intruding into protected airspace. The law also requires regular classified and public reports to oversight committees on new incidents involving unidentified aerial phenomena, including previous information or investigations that are uncovered in government repositories or testimony. Let me just put up my fancy banner that I made. So, including previous information or investigations that are uncovered in government repositories or testimony. So that's for me, that's going back. We're going back hopefully to Roswell. And I know Bryan Bender thinks Roswell is fantasy, and he thinks the Wilson Davis documents that document a meeting between Dr. Eric Davis, and Admiral Thomas Wilson in 2002, where Wilson told Davis he was shut out of a special access program that was dealing with allegedly reverse engineering a craft of unknown origin. Uh, Bender just, at last I've read, which was a week ago, he still poo poos all of that. So, but this is talking about previous investigations, and that would fit right into that. I don't think it's just UFO videos, but that it's all together. Can I prove it's crash retrievals? No. So that's interesting. We've known they wanted to go back, but they're talking about recent in the preliminary report, preliminary assessment. It went back to 2004, but this would go back further. In theory, if we can get that. So I was pretty excited when I first read this on Twitter earlier, and my audio didn't upload. So I'm like, okay, talking about competing factions, the fact that they're talking about that tells me, yes, there are people who want this information out. So eventually, in my opinion, those people will win out. Whether it happens in my lifetime, I don't know. I do think we're going to see major progress in the next few years. Tomorrow, I don't know. I'm not predicting anything for tomorrow because I don't know. Bender continues, but there is a tug of war among competing factions inside the national security bureaucracy that will make it difficult for Congress to compel military branches, spy agencies, national laboratories, and other organizations to come clean given the long-standing secrecy and stigma surrounding the issue. That's not good. Quote, without forcing people's hand, it is going to be very difficult to uncover legacy ventures and programs that we know about based on oral interviews we dug up, said a Defense Department official who was involved in the new effort but was not authorized to speak publicly. Quote, there has to be a forcing mechanism. There has to be a forcing mechanism. So he's talking about, people they've interviewed and talking about legacy programs, legacy ventures and programs. To me, that is crash retrieval. Among those programs, you would have the crash retrieval program. Eric Davis explained, which I have in my Wilson Davis mega blog. He explained how those folks in those programs will share information up until a point of what they're dealing with in their programs. If they meet somebody else who has a clearance for their own separate program related to UFOs, they won't tell them everything about their UFO program, but they'll tell them some, and that's how the information gets out. Those folks are not most of those folks are not evil folks who want to keep this information from us, but the system is set up the way it is. So they do what they can to share it with other folks who have a top secret SCI clearance, and they're read into other UFO programs. So yeah, it's just talk amongst themselves. And Eric Davis has shared that information with us, and people call him a liar and a bullshit artist. And meanwhile, yeah, I just said BS, so I'll probably get a strike against me with cursing. But The guy has put out more information and about those programs than anybody. So you would think people would be appreciative, but for some reason, a lot of people do not believe him. So Bender continues, and as I said, I don't have the graphic here, but he was in Eric Davis. Somebody told me a source. Eric Davis was in charge of the crash retrieval portfolio. So, and he was on He was on Capitol Hill, which Chris Mellon confirmed on CNN with, I forget the name of the host, Michael Shmerkanish, and confirmed related to UFOs and crashes that Davis briefed Congress and told them where to look. This is where you need to look. Gave them enough information. So that language related to crash retrievals made it into the National Defense Authorization Act, the Gillibrand Rubio Gallego language. So Bender continues. There has to be something. The quote. He's quoting that same person. There has to be, who was a Defense Department official. There has to be something to hold people accountable, but also give them a chance to come out clean for a period of time. Sounds like amnesty, the official added, noting that in his experience, the Pentagon Oversight Group has been stonewalled. And when you start talking about oversight and lack of oversight, it'll immediately ring an alarm bell for anybody who's read the Wilson documents, where Admiral Wilson says this alleged crash retrieval special access program was operating without oversight, which is a dangerous place to be politically. It's a dangerous place to be politically. And so, he said that in the notes. And yeah, I mean, Congress finds out that there are programs they have no oversight on, they'll get frustrated. But the problem is, how do you get access? That's always been the problem. I mean, I called into a show in 2000 talking to Will Miller, who was part of the Wilson Davis documents. I was asking that question 22 years ago. Will, how do we get access to these programs if they're operating potentially illegally without oversight? And he's like, contact your attorney general, Joe, which that's obviously, we have to go a lot further than that. The official said there are people with knowledge of the phenomena who have yet to contribute to the oversight effort. Who are those people? Are those the people in these programs? Who are they? We don't know. Lots of ads. Quote, these people exist and they are protecting very, very interesting information, the official said. I mean, I could speculate once again. It could be crash retrievals, or it could be amazing videos from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and on. I mean, we don't know what the information is. I mean, videos are great. Intact craft from, an unknown origin, that's the Monty, not the Monty Python. That's the holy grail of what we want to see. And bodies would end the bodies would end the debate that it wasn't our technology. The public hearing, first to be held by a congressional committee since 1966. Okay, there you go. 1966 was the last public hearing on UFOs, congressional committee hearing. It's scheduled for Tuesday, tomorrow morning. The House Intelligence, Counterterrorism, Counterintelligence, and Counterproliferation Subcommittee. Andre Carson says it will give the American people an opportunity to learn what there is to know about these incidents. The panel's chair, Andre Carson, said in announcing the hearing last week. Set to testify are Ronald Moultrie, the Pentagon's top intelligence official, and Scott Bray, the deputy director of naval intelligence, which has played a prominent role in investigating reports of drone swarms, and that's in quotes, dogging Navy pilots flying from aircraft carriers. And Moultrie, if you read some of the Freedom of Information Act that John Greenwald pulled up, he was responsible for. Yeah, I'll read Greenwald's tweet was, next week, one of the two individuals testifying at the House hearing on UFOs will be Scott Bray. So not Moultrie, it's Bray. Bray is the director of national intelligence, naval intelligence activity. He was the one who approved the security classification guide on UAP, keeping an enormous amount of secrecy surrounding the issue. If you read some of those documents, that's the one where certain shapes were blocked out. And a friend of mine today said we were talking about that. One of the questions that these folks should ask is why are the shapes of these objects classified? Because right away you'll think, well, if the shapes are classified, it must be our technology, and we don't want anybody to know about it. Because if we unless you could also make the argument we don't know what it is. So just to be on the safe side, let's black out the shapes. I don't know, but it's a fair question, I think, and I'll look at comments, but I don't want to stay on here too long. Yeah, thanks for the welcome back. It's been a while. Sorry, I've been so quiet. I appreciate that, guys. No way, the hair is not coming out, Dave. My hair is huge right now. To get it under this hat, I needed gel on the sides, and it's approaching COVID lockdown height. So back to the shapes. Yeah, I mean, if they know they're unknowns, there's no reason to black out the shapes. But like I said, they can say, "Well, we want to be safe. Let's black out the shapes. We don't know what these things are. We don't know where they're from." But that question should be asked, you know? And I'm assuming if they do, that would be the answer, but let them ask it. So Motri is going to testify. He's the Pentagon's top intelligence official, and Bray, as I said, deputy director of national naval intelligence. It comes this hearing comes 5 months after the NDAA required the military to establish a permanent UFO research office and take a series of other steps to collect and investigate reports. To address the new law, the Pentagon set up the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group to standardize reporting and analyze data collected by representatives from across the military and intelligence community. I'm not going to comment on the name, that's been done to death. Here we get back to the dueling factions. But dueling factions in the Pentagon and intelligence agencies are jockeying over how to carry out Congress's direction and how much to reveal to oversight committees, according to four current and former officials. Well, at least they're talking about it. The two current officials said they are concerned that the most unusual incidents now being reported are getting lumped in with drones, space debris, and other more common occurrences, and therefore aren't being fully investigated. Elizondo has talked about that. He was worried that they were going to group all of that together as air clutter. Here's a quote. They're like, five things out of 5,000. We weren't sure what they were, said an intelligence official who was not authorized to discuss internal deliberations, adding that his superiors want to treat all UAPs as, quote, all air trash, end quote, as Lou has talked about, which, if that happens tomorrow, these guys really need to press them. And you know what? I don't know what these folks have seen, our members of Congress and Congress and the Senate. I don't know what they've seen. I mean, I know what Lewis said, and these folks are coming out of meetings saying that's not our technology. There's no way do we have that. I mean, Senator Martin Heinrich has basically said that in interviews when TMZ interviewed him on the street. And but then I heard, and I need to transcribe this. I heard Sean Cahill talking on Jimmy Church. It was a couple of months ago. Saying what they're seeing isn't clear enough. Now, I don't know if he meant isn't clear enough to have a definite confirmation or definite resolution for what it is, or not clear enough that they can't tell it's not foreign adversarial and it's not ours. I don't know that. I need to listen to that interview. It's part of that segment I need to transcribe, which I'm not going to do tonight, but because I have to be up so early like everybody else. At least I'm not in Hawaii time. That would be 5 a.m. The official feels the department is not addressing, and I'm not complaining. It's too exciting tomorrow. Just wake up. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I can nap afterwards. The official feels the department is not addressing, quote, the whole tapestry of the multi-tech problems that we have, end quote. Quote, they really dragged their feet on this, said the DoD official. I don't think they have taken it very seriously. So we started off with talking about different factions. I was excited. Now we hear this. It's like, really? They're not taking it seriously. And what Congress can do about it, I don't know at this point. They could be as upset as they want, but it's not gonna get them access to this information. So they're gonna have to come up with a game plan. So far, the official said something has been identified to lead the new Pentagon. So far, the official said someone has been identified to lead the new Pentagon oversight group and has established two full-time positions for analysts. And Douglas Dean Johnson did a article on who is supposed to be the new director of the AOI MSG, and it's apparently Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who's 53, accomplished. He's an accomplished physicist with 58 published scientific papers dealing with dealing with optical properties and other properties of various natural and artificial materials. The problem is, and I've put feelers out for this, I don't know if Kirkpatrick has the proper clearance, the proper oomph to get these folks to, say, listen, I'm a person you need to listen to. I don't know if he has that gravitas. I mean, if he does, great. But if he doesn't, it's not going to get us the data that we need and that we want. So that remains to be seen. Sounds like a great guy, but like I said, I haven't heard. I've asked people who would know more than I would, and so far I have not heard back. I don't drink coffee, Mike. Maybe some Pepsi. Yeah, East Coast, you got a good time at 9 a.m. Eh, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not. You know what? I didn't even know who Skinny Bob was until Christian, who I worked with on hockey games, told me. And I'm somebody that studies this for a long time. For whatever reason, I had never heard of Skinny Bob, but now I do, and I think he's AI. Just an opinion. Let me get back so I can get this over with. Not that I'm not enjoying this, because I need to do this. I just need to do it. I mean, I'm in my bedroom. It's easy setup. So far, the official said someone has been identified. So that's Kirkpatrick. Quote, to meet the will of Congress, you're going to need an analyst team, an analysis team. Sorry. You're going to need an analysis team, the DOD official said. It can't just be a small operation with a lead and two officials. This is what they were trying to get away with. And that really pisses me off because that's basically what the UAP task force was. I mean, the UAP task force had analysts that they could send information out to and say, "Hey, take a look at this." But it was really small. Although the person who was in charge, who was John Stratton, he apparently was amazing. That guy should be in charge of the AOI MSG, but he just took a job in the private sector, which may be connected to UFOs. I mean, people speculate because Dr. Travis Taylor, Skinwalker Ranch, the secret of Skinwalker Ranch, he supposedly was hired there too. So that could be a possibility, but still, to head up the AOI MSG, Stratton would have been the guy I would have chosen if he was up for it. But now it seems like they're just trying to get away with the minimum. So that's why, when I say patience, we're going to need patience because these folks are dragging their feet, doing the least amount of investigation, the least amount of staffing as possible. Bender continues, it's also unclear what the budget is for the new Pentagon effort. How much funding was actually allocated to the 2022 UAP effort? Asked Calm Kelleher, a biochemist. Oh, by the way, I want to go back for a second because Christopher Mellon has downplayed OSAP. I thought it was just a private contractor, and it pissed me off at the time, and it pisses me off still because OSAP had 50 full-time employees. This effort, they're trying to get away with two full-time positions. And you're not praising? Come on, Christopher Mellon, praise OSAP. 50 full-time employees for 2 years. That's what we need times 10. So I don't want to hear you ever diminish OSAP again after what we're seeing here, because we need another OSAP effort. When I first read this, that's what I said. And then we get to Kelleher, who was the deputy administrator of OSAP, saying, you know, we don't even know how much funding has been allocated to this effort. The new UAP office, the new UFO office, the Gillibrand Amendment, this new effort. Still don't know what money has been allocated. There are, like I said on Twitter, the Space Force connected to UFOs on hold, no funding. So Kelleher continues and says, has anyone ever confirmed that actual appropriation funding ever went along with the recently passed law? No, we never heard anything. Michael Vai, he was another one. He's like, you need to look for that. He was excited at the time. That was a couple of months ago. So it's like, and we still don't know about the money. Oh, speaking of Mellon, who trust me, I appreciate what he's done. I just disagree with him on stuff like that and other things. It's just like I disagree with Lou. Unfortunately, people just think I just parrot what they say and don't question anything. But those folks have not paid attention to what I've said over the last 4.5 years. I've argued with Eric Davis. I've argued with George Knapp. I've argued with Jeremy Corbell. The list is endless. Christopher Mellon, a former top Pentagon intelligence official who has been pressing Congress to take more aggressive steps, said the Biden administration appears to be treating the new effort, quote, as a small office that compiles reports, conducts briefings, and seemingly little else, end quote. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, and I voted for Biden, but that really pisses me off. I don't know how much, Biden is directly involved, but it's his administration, so take responsibility and get your act together. Try not to curse here, but it's annoying as hell. I'm just checking some comments. All right. There remains a large gap between the intent of Congress and the actions of the Pentagon, he wrote in a public appeal to the panel on Friday. Who owns the urgent mission of getting to the bottom of these quote unquote drone swarms plaguing our ships and bases, and what are they doing about it? And I think he's going the angle of drones because let's just say they are drones and they're foreign adversarial. How do you not investigate that? Do I think they're foreign adversarial? From what I know, and from what I've been told, and from what other people have said publicly and privately, no, I don't think they're drones. But if calling them drones gets them to act, just like when Mellon used the national security angle to get them act, and that's why we're here now because Mellon is a brilliant chess player. He knows what gets these folks moving. Bender continues. The biggest question may be whether the Pentagon is being fully transparent with Congress. The intelligence official described another faction inside military and intel agencies that takes this subject very seriously and is protective of UAP related data. They fetishize their secret society, the official said. It's kind of a skull and bones type vibe. They take it seriously, but they have no accountability. Zero. There's a whole group of us that know in great detail this subject, a lot of which has not been reported to Congress because of security issues. So I really want to stop right there and talk about who these folks might be and what are their thoughts? What exactly? And I can't prove that the folks what I'm about to read is related to those folks that Bender just talked about with that, official talked about, the skull and bones type folks. But let me pull it up and you guys can decide for yourself because it's kind of interesting to see. This is from the alien autopsy emails from March of 2001. So Eric, they're talking about, and at this point, Kid Green thought the alien autopsy was real. And the other folks, Colin Kelleher and Eric Davis, Davis says, Davis says, why the excruciating level of secrecy on this stuff? This is 2001. What benefit does it serve the taxpayer, the Congress, the president, national security, quote, science slash human knowledge, end quote, to keep this secret for so long? So basically, he's like, why are they who does it benefit to keep this secret for so long? And Dr. Kit Green says, the right to know by a basically non meritocratic population is disputed by most of the Plato-like minions in the programs that are really black. I think this may be the skull and bones type folks that Bender is talking about. And it's not just this program, and they're talking about biology and possibly bodies. Kit continues, and I call him Kit because when I spoke to him on the phone, he insisted I call him Kit, so it's a habit now. I don't speak to him now. I spoke to him a couple of years ago, and I need to speak to him again, but I haven't in a couple of years. Just some messages here and there. He continues, Kit Green. There is a belief by most people in high executive branch appointed positions. Those folks, I think those folks can be there forever. A belief by most people in high executive branch appointed positions that the average person isn't able to understand or handle the complexity of the UFO phenomenon and would screw things. And he may be talking about everything. He may not just be talking about UFOs, but and they would screw things up beyond belief. They, as long as they're in control, believe in a Singaporean government model of a Lee Kuan Yew meritocracy, government by the most educated and elite and benevolent dictatorship. They believe what they read in Plato, Thomas Paine, Machiavelli, and they do not believe what they read in Aristotle, Jefferson, or Roosevelt. And then they go into some stuff about the Scintilla alien autopsy hoax. At the time, Kit Green did not think it was a hoax, and he's gotten a lot of flack for that, which I understand. But allegedly, he was shown videos that matched the autopsy video, and those were, years before the video actually came out. Let me get back to Bender's article. So maybe those are the folks he's talking about, maybe not. But I'll just read it one more time. Those folks who are, they really don't want to give up their UFO. They're interested in UFOs, but they do not want to give up their data. They fetishize their secret society. It's kind of a skull and bones type vibe. They take it seriously, but they have no accountability. Zero. Once again, Wilson Davis. Wilson talks about zero oversight. There is a whole group of us that know in great detail this subject, a lot of which has not been reported to Congress because of security issues. It's really nice to see Bender going here. And although he's talked about, he thought ATIP and OSAP were just like a small sliver, although OSAP wasn't small compared to what we're seeing now. And OSAP was unique, and it was looking at UFOs and related phenomena. I don't know if there are any other programs from the past or current that we don't know about that studied UFOs and related phenomena like poltergeist activity and all the controversial stuff that's in skinwalkers at the Pentagon. The Pentagon, through spokesperson Susan Goff, declined multiple requests to discuss the progress of the new Pentagon-led effort, including how many personnel are assigned from what agencies and how it is carrying out the congressional mandate. I don't know why she won't comment on that. It's not classified. The upcoming House hearing, however, is seen as an opportunity to make historic headway. A coalition of scientists appealed to the panel over the weekend to press Pentagon witnesses to publicly share as much as possible on what government agencies have learned about a number of widely reported cases. The Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, which the guys I know, the main guys are Rich Hoffman and Robert Powell. Their members work at private corporations, universities. I think Eric Davis may be a part of it too, and government agencies. They singled out reports of intrusions and even interference at nuclear weapons facilities where we know, or allegedly, they turned on our nukes. They turned on nukes here. They turned on nukes in Russia. They put them into launch mode. And I don't remember the specific base where they turned them on, but it happened here and the Ukraine. And they also, turned off our nukes at Maelstrom. It's happened in a couple of places. Supposedly it's happened in more places, but that's all we know about right now publicly from the folks who were there who have spoken about, like Robert Salas. So the SEU also urged more transparency on reported health hazards, OSAP, from encounters with the phenomena, as well as whether military and intelligence agencies have tracked unknown craft maneuvering through multiple mediums, including the air, under the sea, and in orbit. Will the defense Will the Department of Defense release information on this trans medium behavior to the public? They wrote in an open letter. Mellon has also said that Pentagon officials need to be asked publicly if any of the reported aerial intrusions were also detected maneuvering through space. I was told, and I wasn't told. I read it on a private Facebook page, and I'm respecting the wishes of the first person who runs that. I'm not sharing it, but to paraphrase, there's no evidence showing that these objects are coming from deep space, which you would think if they were extraterrestrial, we would be extraterrestrial. Now I sound like Avril Haines stumbling on the word. You would think we'd be able to track them from deep space, possibly. Um, but that evidence doesn't exist. The only evidence we have is they're coming from out near the moon. They're not coming from beyond the moon's orbit, so nothing from deep space, according to the person who said this. But that person also said there may be that kind of data. I have not seen it. Maybe this person does not have access to it. Maybe it's buried somewhere. But Mellon is going at it at a different angle. He says if members can confirm UAP in space, they'll make history and help to eliminate an entire category of potential explanations having to do with atmospheric phenomenon, Chinese lanterns, Chinese lanterns, civilian drones, he said. So basically, yeah, he's not making the argument if they're in space, they're extraterrestrial. He's saying if they're in space, they can't be atmospheric phenomenon, Chinese lanterns, or civilian drones. And and back to the extraterrestrial thing, it's possible they're extraterrestrial, but using other dimensions to get here. So you're not going to see them traveling from deep space. They may just pop in using a wormhole. So that's my layman explanation, layman understanding of a way that a UFO can actually get here without being tracked from deep space. But I have no idea because I'm speculating on that. But what may be needed first, and this is Mellon, I mean, this is a Bender, back to Bender. What may be needed first is finding new ways to compel agencies and government personnel to be more forthcoming to Congress. That's always been the issue, whether it's a deep black program, which is the most difficult, or even there's data out there that we're not seeing that's not buried in black programs. It's just not being shared, or if it is being shared, it's still considered too sensitive for us to see because of sources and methods which don't it's the most annoying thing. They can black out information, enough information to show us what some of these objects are doing, assuming we have videos of objects making 90-degree turns and stopping on a dime, almost instantaneous acceleration. We have somebody brought it up the other day and said, well, we do have that video from NASA STS 48 which shows an object, and then all of a sudden it just totally turns direction and just shoots off, and then something comes up from below. It looks like it could be a weapon, or it could be just it was ice particles from the shuttle that were being pushed as the engines, the gas from the engines went on. That was the skeptical argument. Dr. Jack Kasher, who was a physicist, not sure if he's still alive, but he did a really excellent presentation back then. This was the 90s, I think. I think he did a couple of UFO conferences. I'm not sure. Um, Back to Bender. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, yes, I told somebody, yes, I think we have that evidence, but none of us have ever seen that evidence. So it's been kept quiet. It hasn't leaked. People, the skeptics, debunkers, skeptics, I won't call them debunkers. Skeptics have said, where is it? They cannot keep it secret all this time. No, it doesn't exist. We don't think it exists. I do understand that thinking, but there's been so many people who have reported seeing that. Just Fravor and Dietrich alone seeing something shoot off like a bat out of hell. You can make an argument that the Tic Tac was black technology. I will not argue that. I've made a slight argument on that when I first wrote an article with Dave Beatty. Like we talked about it, but at the very least, it's instantaneous or close to instantaneous acceleration like a bat out of hell. And as far as we know, we don't have that technology. And if it is our technology, it's still amazing and world changing. For instance, lawmakers and staff have been discussing the possibility of taking new steps to encourage individuals with pertinent information to come forward, according to 4 current and former officials and a pair of congressional staffers. The UAP Coalition, the SCU, raised the prospect that Congress may need to push legislation to allow personnel who signed non disclosure agreements or were directed not to discuss their knowledge of incidents to share what they know. We're getting closer to the amnesty, but not exactly. They should discuss what they know, share what they know, as long as they are not publicly revealing classified information. That kind of like that's kind of the information we want. We want to see the classified information with the sources and methods, scrubbed out. Information that, could danger our troops. Fine. But we need to see classified information. So that sentence right there, well, yeah, they're going to discuss their knowledge. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. Some of these incidents could be amazing if you hear, a high-ranking person in our government or the DOD talk about it, and then one after another talking about it, and pilots, that's not classified information. The classified information will be the actual video, which would give away possibly sources and methods. We need both. We need the video and the testimony. But for now, would I take the testimony? Of course, that the I will call these folks debunkers. They will continuously say, "Well, that we it's just an anecdote. It's just an anecdote." But not all anecdotes are the same. When you have somebody like that speaking about their experience, like Fravor, Dietrich, Eric Davis talking about one of the most controversial experiences on Skinwalker Ranch, do people think he's going to lie? I mean, why would he talk about something that makes him look to many people like he's crazy? Most people who don't even follow this subject hear that, oh, Dr. Eric Davis was frozen in place on Skinwalker Ranch and had multiple male voices talking to him. Yeah, that's something he wants to share because it boosts his credibility, right? I mean, I've seen Bryan Bender say Eric Davis has no credibility. Why? Because he speaks the truth. He's an experiencer. He spoke the truth about what happened to him. So, you know, like I said, you see folks like that sharing their experiences. It has more more of an impact to me and a lot of people. And I think the American public is smart enough to realize that and not listening to the debunkers who don't even consider who's speaking when they share their experiences, their personal experiences. And if it's multiple people seeing the same thing and they're talking about it on Capitol Hill, that's also going to help. Now I'm getting worked up. Let's see. Only with credible, verified data on UAP reports, then and now, can modern technology be used to fully analyze the phenomena, according to experts. So, yeah, they're working on better technology to capture video of UAP. You can never have enough good technology, and like people have said, those instruments. I think the preliminary analysis, preliminary report said, that technology, it wasn't designed to capture UFOs going 20,000 miles an hour or whatever they're doing. So yeah, we need better data, credible, verified data, and then we can analyze everything. But getting the data is the tough part, like pulling teeth from some of these folks. I remember reading an article, it might have been Politico, where, they're saying certain people, like there people in the DOD are saying, I have UFO data, but nobody's come to ask me about it, which is embarrassing. It's like, really, get your act together. And here's a quote from Avi Loeb. Can we get the highest quality UAP data to scientists who will analyze it methodically and quantitatively, said Avi Loeb, who heads the Galileo project at Harvard University and has worked with NASA and the Space Force. Future cooperation between government and science will help us understand the unknown. That's Avi Loeb. Loeb said he is eager, quote, to engage my research team at Harvard in a detailed analysis of such data, should the government be interested in sharing it, end quote. What's becoming clear is that the hearing is likely to be a first step, which I said, and which other people said. Yes, my expectations are zero. I'm going to enjoy it. Hopefully, there'll be some. Did he just say that? Moments in the hearings. 2 hours, so I think we'll get some interesting comments, I think, and I'm sure we'll get frustrated at parts, and we'll start yelling at the TV like I do during hockey games. Quote, I think there are going to be good questions, said the DoD official, who said he has viewed some videos of UAPs that have not been made public. But I think they're going to lead to more questions. Of course, it's the beginning, But there are back to Bender. There are also, and I'm trying to be as clear as I can because I do want to get these onto. And people have asked me to put these on audio, and I have not done it yet. I have to pay for to have a good service. I need to pay for it, and I need to do it so I can put these as audio podcasts. So Bender continues, but there are also concerns it will be more theater than anything else. Yeah, that's possible. Last quote by Jacques Vallée. Congressional inquiries on this subject have often turned out to have entertainment value and little substance. But this case may be an exception. We may be touching a real issue with a serious purpose. So, Valet is open to the positive angle of tomorrow morning. And I am too. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. Like I said, I put feelers out, nothing back. And so I don't know. Let me see. I'll check to see if I have any response. Probably not. No. So how many hours away? We're at 3, so 6 hours. 6 hours away from the first hearing since the 60s. If you have any questions, I'll just stay on for like 10 minutes more. Yeah, I appreciate that. ABCCBA. If anybody asked questions earlier, just let me know. Thanks, Gabby. It's been a while. I'm sorry. There's been good reasons why I haven't done a live stream, and are bad reasons. Bad reasons are I don't like being on camera, and I would rather be on Twitter. Good reasons, you don't need to hear about that. Just it's been a struggle lately. Please look over what I have been talking about. Whatever. If you're talking to me, you need to put it here because Two Face. I am somebody who thinks the face on Mars and the surrounding structures are artificial, but the only way to know for sure is to send people there. You can get the best pictures you want. An example in Japan, they dove off the coast of Japan at something looked like a step pyramid, and they had geologists who were diving. One geologist said, "This is definitely artificial." The other archaeologist said, or geologist said, "Nope, it's natural." So even if you have people there on site, it's going to be tough. But Mars, hopefully, we get people up there in hopefully the next 5-10 years. Yeah, I'm not really dealing with NASA right now, or Mars. Although I love Mars. Mars is one of the first things I got into in this field. I didn't know about I didn't know about the face on Mars. Heidi, I am fine. I had a massage today because my neck is messed up for some unknown reason, and it's been a problem. But I'll figure it out. Thank you. So anyway, all right. No questions, and I'm gonna try to go to bed early, and I will be on here at 5:30. So maybe 5:45. I need to set up that stream too. And tomorrow, if you guys if there's a break in the hearing for 2 hours, I will jump in and comment, and hopefully I can stream it on here because I don't think anything Congress does is copyrighted, so it should be no problem. And I'll just go over some other comments you guys said earlier. Let's see. Gabby, you're welcome. Oh, the Pentagon. Yeah, I did a show when I had my UFO Joe show in Tampa. It was at Stanley McDaniel, who was a professor emeritus from Sonoma State University, wrote a book about Mars called the McDaniel Report, and then I had McDaniel Report, and then I had Professor Dr. James Strange, who was a professor of archaeology, and he was also interested in Mars. It was great. I had James Strange in the studio. I may disagree with Joe a lot, but I appreciate his dedicated work and transcripts often. And one day I'll get the transcripts that are sitting on my blog that just need to be finished out because I have a lot of them, including Lou with Jimmy Church that not a lot of people saw. Um, I think I'm close to done with Lou on theories of everything the first interview, which was one of his best interviews. I'm not gonna do the second one with Sean. I'm not gonna do that one. Um, and then I enjoyed him on Howard Hughes yesterday, which I love Howard Hughes. I love his accent. That guy's one of my favorite hosts. And there is a channel on YouTube, also C-SPAN 3. So, and also I'll do it here tomorrow. Hopefully. You're welcome, Teresa. Hopefully I didn't stumble too much reading that article, which I was excited when I first read it. And then, like I said, it got worse as I went on, but that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be bad. Let's, but I do want to harp on that issue I have with Mellon telling us that OSAP is a small, it's an effort with a small, not, he may not have used the word small, but he kind of downplayed it saying it was a private contractor. But like I said, 50 full-time employees. And now we're dealing with 2 full-time positions, which is a joke. What we really need is we need a billionaire to just pour his funds or her funds into a private OSAP effort. And when I say OSAP, I mean follow the evidence wherever it goes. If somebody reports a UFO close encounter and then all of this other related phenomena, do not dismiss it. Just take it, study it, bring in scientists, bring in doctors. It's simple. It's like, don't judge it. Stigma needs to go away. All right, Macron, I have barely enough time to make my live stream for tomorrow. I don't know what your channel is, so go on Twitter. I mean, people refuse to go on Twitter. I'm the most accessible on Twitter. Sometimes people respond and I can't keep up, but plenty of times I'm on there. And if you get my attention and tag me, I will get to see it. Link to me. I'll check it out. All right. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening. Exciting times. It's a big first step. Big first step. I think they're going to downplay it tomorrow, but I really hope they shock everyone. I think they need to shock the people to really crack this open to the public. It all depends on Congress. It all depends on what questions they ask. It all depends on, them staying on top of this. And the Senate has not even gotten their hands on this yet. When the Senate does hearings, you'll see. I think Rubio and Gillibrand are not going to be easy on these folks. You saw how Gillibrand was with on the Inspector General in that his confirmation hearing. She's like, "You need to get back to me," and the guy was like, "Okay." So we haven't heard back from that. Yeah, thanks, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Glad to do it. I will do more. I got to get over my lack of interest of video because I know so many people want YouTube over Twitter. Um, I'll try my best. All right. See you tomorrow.